learning a little bit of Sanskrit. Let's take it on the journey. It just says simply pure being remains. Space alone. No water, no earth, no fire, only space alone. We're going to take up this exercise. We are coming to this few minutes to be 12 o'clock. We'll go ahead and extend it a little bit to just to taste this part. In this in these modern times, we say 150 odd elements and quarks and strings and super strings, etc., has made this world, and some more elements which we have not discovered. When I studied chemistry, I remember it was 108 and some unknown element. This is how I used to write my answer paper. Now it is 150 and some more unknown element. And dualists say, how can you just say absolute? There is space. How can you say dissolution of space? Beyond space, that means space also? How is it possible? It's all pure technical. It is not true. So the dualist expression goes ahead and tells about as the Nyaya philosophy, which is dualist theory only. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was a great Pandit before he became Bhakti Yoga of Krishna, devoted of Krishna. Those of you been to Jagannath Puri, you will see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was one of the saints about 200 years, 300 years before Ramakrishna Paramahansa. 300, 400 years ago from now. And he goes ahead and talks about that how will you. So, yeah, why can't you? It is the witness of the quiet mind. When you go into that quiet mind, is beyond space. And when you see it that way, absolutely no thought. With that, it's for which only we will do this practice. Just now I'm being told it's 12 o'clock. So absence or presence of the paper, of the book. Let's say, I say this book exists. Tim Holt's book. It's a thought. You get a thought, right? I hide the book. The moment you hide the book, what comes to your mind? What book is not there? So you require a thought to experience presence or experience absence. Space exists is the thought. Space does not exist, also a thought. Dualist is saying, how can you say dissolution of space? Advaita Vedantists say, the moment you go beyond thought is the being, is samadhi, as per the yogi, is knowingness, being aware, being conscious. And that is where we take up. Then, if you have thoughts, you're not witnessing. And witnessing of no thought mind is the only time when you go into the pure being. So we'll do a quick practice in this. Brahman is pure space. Space is beyond space, not there. In Kashmiri Shaivatra, just for a Shaivism, there is a alternative in which we will do that, the Kashmiri Shaivism, and we'll do this no space. Is before that, Vidyaranya is saying that when you do not understand what is no space, is because of lack of clarity of understanding Vedanta. Nothing else. It's just ignorance to the dualist. And Vidyaranya says, and the second clause is that you're not concentrating enough. The practice more, read more, ask questions more. So in which, let us take up this one practice is close your eyes, be comfortable. It'll just take a few minutes. You practice it later on at your own time. We're running out of time. Close your breath, close your eyes, sit properly, back straight. Concentrate between the eyebrow Concentrate now. From there, breathing in coolness of the nostril, breathing out warmth of the nostril. Being aware of the coolness of the warmth. Now, being aware of my body, being aware of the sound of the Omkar Dhvani going all around. I'm certain you must be hearing it too. Being aware of the noise of the sound of the birds and the insects chirping. Being aware of your own house sound in the house. Being aware of the presence of the other people if they're around you. Awareness. Now, from there, being aware of the body, imagine there is space. In the space, no cloud, no light, no darkness, no limits, only space. And now, going beyond that space is Brahman, is nothingness. Drop the space. Thoughts will come, try to bombard you, but practice. It's a beautiful experience. And many of you are great Siddha yogis are practicing it very well. The Kashmiri Shaivism, they come up with one more variation of this. As you come to the space in which you are with your body. Space before you go to space beyond. Space everywhere. And now replace your body, the bones, the blood, the muscle, everything with only space. Only the skin is separating between space inside and space outside. Meditate a few seconds. After some time, as you practice in your own time, after some time, quite some time, you're practicing space within, space outside. And now, drop the skin. No skin. You're not there. Space alone exists. And now go beyond space to Brahman. Dualists say that means space is nothing, space is vacuum. No, that is a mistake. It is the stillness. And this stillness is the profound philosopher, German philosopher, Westerner, Eckhart Tolle is talking about it. Read The Silence Beyond. Beautiful book, a very thin book. So with this, I come to the end today with the very simple statement, Brahma Satyam Jagat Nitya. The Brahman alone is the truth. This journey of ours is to understand that what we think is the real world is not the reality. What we think. And remember, it's the name and the form and the function. Listen to it again and again. I think the talk with the Divine Mother has done very well. If you have any questions, you're welcome to ask before I start the salutation. And again,
Yep. What is the difference between absence of paper and nothing?
a very good question. And it is a technical, literal question. Who is the person asking? May I know your name, please?
Rajiv.
Rajiv. Yeah, Rajiv. Beautiful. I always love to hear your question. Absence of paper. This book, absence of book, is presence or absence? Is a thought. Remember, presence of the book, you see it, you think about the book. You see a person immediately, oh, I saw him before. A thought comes to your mind. The moment the person is not there, a thought comes to your mind. This is the absence and presence is a thought. What is thing before we talk about nothing? Thing is matter. Matter is that which occupies space. Anything that occupies space is a dimension. Nothing is no dimension. But nothing is the word which is expressing. It can be within the space. But when you, in related to today's talk, Rajiv, a very good question, reflect on it and meditate on it. When you talk about Brahman, Ishvara, God, spirit, soul, that isness is that existence, is that consciousness, is the Brahman, which is beyond nothing, beyond that space also, cannot be expressed. There are 5 ways, as Shankaracharya explained, the words can express. They go ahead, jati, krut, jati, kriya, guna, like that. It goes ahead, and 5 forms are there in the word express. We'll divert the topic. So language cannot express. The moment you said nothing, you are naming absence of thing with a word. So related to Brahman, I hope it is brought into the understanding, and that is a thought. That is, the paper exists, paper does not exist. Okay? Any other question?
Jai Guru, sir. So I had a question. I wanted to know the importance of prayers. We were praying for one of the devotee sisters who was suffering from COVID. She was in the ICU and on the ventilator. She did, with Babaji's grace, survive. While we were praying for another brother, again, devotee brother, we were praying earnestly, and I don't know. I mean, so we were a little concerned because our prayers were not answered and he was physically taken away from us. So how is it that you're praying for one gets answered and the other one doesn't get answered, sir?
Good question. Is that Harsha, Santosh? Is that the one?
Yes, yes, sir.
See, prayer is another huge topic. There are 3 elements with one beyond those 3 are the grounding of the prayer. Prayer has to have words, either spoken or silently, in which we pray for generally 4 things, as Krishna is explaining in Bhagavad Gita. We pray for artha, that is, in this case, somebody's sick, somebody's poor, somebody's suffering. You pray that please remove the suffering and make him all right. These are the 4 what we do. Second is artharthi, that is praying for money, good health, good husband, good wife, good friend, good job, good name, fame, good politicians, rank, recognitions. Then comes Jigyasu. Jigyasu is the one who's asking questions. Most of us are a combination of all of them. A Jigyasu is searching for the truth. What is the truth of this universe? Who am I? These are all with the prayers coming in. You pray, Divine Mother, please give me that wisdom to understand that what is truth and what is not truth. And like that. And the last is Jnani. Jnani, he has already attained, become a Paramahamsa, but he also prays. So, second point, pray, most of us are like a beggar. We are praying, God give us this, God give us that, either for myself or for somebody else. And when it doesn't get fulfilled, we say, God, you don't exist. I refuse to visit you. I refuse to take your name. No, that is not a bad thing. It is just that you're just like you fight with your mom and dad. It doesn't mean you don't love your mom and dad, or we are you. If you, in fact, if you notice, the most of the conflicts you have is the one that you love most. You don't fight with somebody who's on the street, unless of course that person has come down and infringing in your independence. You fight with in terms of understanding differences of thoughts, and that makes your fights become different. The other is when you pray for someone else. That is the best form of prayer. In this case, your question was for someone else, which is the best form. You should always pray for someone else. Notice the Jigyasu and the Paramahamsa are praying for someone else, the whole world, the whole universe. In the youth, I used to say these monks and all that, they're all worthless. They're all sitting at home, sitting in the little ashram. Everybody's pouring money. They're eating and have nothing to do. And we are all fighting for our life and earning our bread. I didn't understand it then. I was ignorant. That the prayer, what they do, it's very powerful. And they sitting in the Himalayas or sitting at home or in the ashrama, sitting as a like the rishis who were grihis. They were praying for the universe. And this is how. Notice how Krishna came, Jesus Christ came. The whole world was suffering from turmoil. How Muhammad came, or Yesu came, or let's say Guru Nanak, Guru Gobind Singh came. There was turmoil. And they came as the God Himself, as the avatar. Now, fulfillment of our prayers. 90% of the time it does get fulfilled, provided, very important point, is that you have faith in your prayer. Why it doesn't fulfill with most of us and it fulfills with the great masters? Somebody asked Paramahansa Yogananda, Gurudev, please pray for my son. His fever is not going down 7 days. The Gurudev smiled and said, why aren't you praying? She said, I am praying, but my prayers don't work. The Gurudev said, you know what? I used to be like you. My prayers also never worked, but I persisted, just like meditation. I persisted, titiksha. I have to persist and I have to have faith of two kinds. One, faith in my own prayer that I have asked, and I love my mother. I have asked mother. Mother will give it to me. Have that faith. How can mother not give it to me? In this two account, I also prayed for them. And my prayers in most of the time would come true. But I have the second element, and this is where your question would get, is called Vaiva in Sanskrit. Is that 90% Mother, God, Brahman made this beautiful universe with Maya perfect, minus that 10% or 1% as you numerically want to give a number. What is that? Is Dvaiva, is the power and the wish of the Brahman, the mother of the spirit. She alone, Brahman alone, God alone knows what is correct. In this case, I would understand it simply. I have prayed, I know my mother will not say no if it was to happen. Since it has not happened, what not happened? Him to continue to live. Why not happen? Maybe if he continued to live, he would have lived with a terrible body, with the terrible parts of his being, which has been supported by the artificial doctor system, could not come out and sustain without it. Supposing God made it true. Couldn't he have made also the parts of it true? We do not know. This is our logic, our understanding, limited by our intelligence. So have that part and be peaceful. If I have prayed and if it has not happened, Mother alone knows best. Mother alone has done. Why? Because Mother did not want him to be, understand this, limited by a body and a name and a form. Why did Swami Vivekananda prayed and said, I'm not going to cross 40? Paramahansa Ramakrishna, he did not cross 50. And Sister Nivedita, she said, I'm going to be very close to my Gurudev's life. She left her body at 44. Why? But tell me now, Paramahansa Yogananda, he had 5 days before his leaving, the last smile, which all of us have in our home, said, I'm going to leave my body in 5 days. And everybody said, no, no, Gurudev, what will we do with you? He said, I have trained you all enough to know what to do. Think, as Paramahansa Yogananda dead, his body is not there. His name, his work is eternally spread. Vivekananda, Paramahansa Ramakrishna, Jesus Christ resurrected his body for a short while, 13 years, 17 years more. I don't know if you're aware, 17 more years he came to India and sustained. But notice the work, largest religion of the world is today is Christianity. So now, possibly Mother wanted this devotee to be peaceful with this, infinite. I realized today, I used to think of this devotee who I'm praying for, or there are 2, 3 others recently happened. I prayed for them. But I noticed today, let's say champion Swapnadeep Toton, who last week we talked about, he is always in my consciousness now. Wherever I'm going, whatever I'm doing, including the morning, the prayers, the diya, the agarbatti, Toton is there with me. He wasn't there when he was with his body. Sometime he was there when I would talk to him, and then I forget about him. So notice there is the moment, two very good, let's say friends, or husband, wife, or parent and a child. Child goes away, husband goes away, separates for some disagreement, and they slowly forget about themselves, each other. Maybe one iota of thought will remain, but most of it is forgotten. And they get on with their life. When the body and the name and the form can be forgotten, can be erased. Billions of people before you and me have lived and prayed. There's a beautiful statement with which I will finish today's. Everybody on this universe has been praying for 3,000, 3,500 years. They prayed for various things. Many say, I don't pray. And those 2, 3, 5, 10% who say we don't pray, they refuse to acknowledge. They say we call it wish. Wish is what is wish? Wish is also a prayer. I wish I could get this lottery ticket. It's also a prayer. You're throwing it out. And the last statement, remember, your prayers are powerful thoughts. Always pray. Your thoughts are indestructible. And when you go beyond the thoughts will always come true. You have to just think of it as an aspiring Advaita Vedantist. And this is what it means. Knower of Brahman attains the highest. The moment you become Brahmavid, you become knower of Brahman. You attain everything. Knower of Brahman is gone beyond thought. What Rajiv's question was, you've gone beyond space, beyond thought. But thought will crystallize automatically. So Swami Rama is born to a Bengali father and a mother. And Bengali Baba, who came from Himalayas, he used to go around India 2 times a year, 1 time a year. This time when he was going, he lived in their home, a little hut in a village. And they took care, very poor people with a little milk, 1 cow they had and a little roti they had. And Bengali Baba was very pleased. And before going next day, he asked the mother and the father, Mang, kya chahiye? Whatever you ask, I will grant it to you. And the mother said, Baba, ek ladka de do. Baba said, nahi ho sakta hai. And The lady was then 68. Father was 75. Please read. Mother held on to Babaji's feet and started crying. The Babaji with the feet, he just pushed her away and said, Chal, ho jayega. This mother gave birth to Swami Rama. He said, but one condition. After 6 years, if you do not hand over the baby to me, the baby will die. And he came back after 6 years. He said, now hand over the baby. She started crying. How can you do that? How can I give him? He said, okay, keep him, but he's going to die. And mother naturally didn't want the son to die, handed over Swami Rama to him. He lived with him. At the 6th year, exactly, Swami Rama, please read. Masters of Living with the Masters of Himalaya. Read that book. He fell from the cliff and falling. He started crying, Baba, Baba, and he was stuck with a tree which broke and pierced him through the stomach and held him. And soon he found Baba standing in the air in front of him. He said, don't worry, people will come and leave you. He was crying, Baba, save me. Swami Rama himself has written this. People came down the rope and picked him up and took him. He healed him, lived till 82 years of age, and created great Himalayan institute all over the world, including in America. Akasha Shanti, Prithvi Shanti, Vayu Shanti, Jalaspataya Shanti, Agnyaya Shanti, Manaha Shanti, Chityaha Shanti. O Divine Mother, Brahman, God, Ishvara, Gurudev, the gods of all religion and gurus of all ever existed in this world, please protect and guard everyone from all suffering, all sickness, all diseases. Give them the abundance of the anand, the joy. Give them the wisdom to discover the wealth of the wisdom within. Now, they alone are the one. The Brahman is not out there. Brahman is within. Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Jai